everyone, it is Sammy Diamonds here, your friendly Age of Empires 2 console player from the UK. This is my first attempt at any sort of cast or video recording, but it's something I'm a bit interested in, especially with so many great things going on in the community right now with so many tournaments. So I thought I'd bring you this game that I just played between myself and a computer player, a keyboard and mouse player, 37600 72232. I'm just going to call him Red rather than read out his number every time. He's playing as the Mongols, really good Arabia Civ, and he and I are both around the 1050 ELO mark on the cross-platform ladder. I think T90 says that 1000 ELO is the edge of the low elo, so he and I are probably just on the edge of being low elo legends. A great place to be, as I'm sure so many people out there are as well. But I am trying to pull off a new strat today, which it uses one of the Khmer bonuses, well, actually all the Khmer bonuses really, to get up to a super fast castle and then run into some knights. And hopefully disrupt his base. So, you know, the principle with the Khmer is that you get so many, great eco upgrades, basically. Your farms also drop off food constantly, and you're running as you can upload your upgrade to the next stage super quickly because you don't need any extra buildings. So that's the principle, and I'm hopefully going to just talk you through what I've done. So with this, you know, the basic build is the first 5 villages you have are going to go to your sheep or your capybaras in this instance. Then your 6th villager is going to go cut down one of your straggler trees, and he's going to build your house in a moment. And then your 7th villager is going to go lure a boar, and you're going to get up 10 on food before you lure your next one. So, you know, I mean, I'm up against the Mongols. Red here, he's also cutting a straggler tree. I'm not really sure why. He's probably not going for the same build as me. As you can see here, I've got 9 on food, and just zoom in. Look at those capybaras, cute little butts, cute little guys. My preferred type of sheep, personally, I like a capybara better than a llama. Sheep are fine. Turkeys and chickens just too noisy for me. So anyway, my straggler tree villager's built his house. He's going back to straggling those trees. I get the timings wrong a little bit here, so I have to avoid getting too much idle. I have to put some of my villagers on one of those trees again. But I'm bringing in the second boar here, and I've sort of split them out. So I've got a few on the capybaras and the rest on the boar. Your next villagers, now you're on 12 on food, is going to go to your berries, so build a mill, and you should, you know, this is a really tight build, so the starting wood you begin with, plus the wood that your straggler tree villager brings in, means that you should just have enough for a mill, and then a mining camp. We'll come on to the other buildings you'll need, a lumber camp and a stable in a moment. As you can see here, I'm now trying to lure but push my deer. In this case, it's a rhea bird. I think they're similar to the moa birds from New Zealand. You know, great big ostrich-like things. Not extinct though. I guess actually in this time period you could have moa birds, because I don't think us European settlers had reached New Zealand and hunted them to extinction, as we so like to do. But you need to push these. It doesn't work. I've tried this on Chicken Arabia, and you just need too much wood. You need other mills. You can't, unless you're going to do one of those gate tricks. Even then, it just doesn't quite work. So as I say, your next villagers, now you've got 15 on food, are going to go to gold, and again, you've just got enough wood for a mining camp. Again, my pushing of deer is just, it really could be improved. So again, a little bit of inefficiency coming up here. Whenever that happens, I just try and compensate for it by popping my villagers on the wood, so they're at least doing something. They get a bit of extra in, and then they go back to those rears. while my scout pushes the next one, we can have a quick look at what red's doing. He's just going over to gold himself. But, he looks like he's got more of a standard build than... and is going up, more standardly than I am, certainly. Just speed up here a little bit as I push my final one in. If anyone has tips, I usually press the square button on my PlayStation controller to avoid accidentally clicking another object, which I've done too many times, and distracting my scout. Anyway, up to feudal, and the idea is that pretty much you can go straight to castle age because of this build, and as you can see, I've clicked up to castle before my opponent has actually arrived in feudal. Now, that possibly says a little bit more about my opponent than it does about me, but it's 10 minutes and we're on our way to castle, which isn't too bad, ain't too bad. We've got our formerly food villages now going on to wood, and we want to have around 6 or 7 on food, so I've planted one of my farms to get that amazing Khmer bonus that we spoke about here. I'm just going to show you, I fucked up a little bit here. My scout just runs straight under the opponent's TC and pays the consequences. Oh, the humanity. Your other formerly food villages are going to have to go to the straggler trees, though, to get your wood for your lumber camp and your stable. As I say, this is a really, really tight build, so just as they finish that final straggler tree, you'll see we've already got the stable on the way up, and we're just over 100 wood, which means we can now put the rest of those villages onto the proper wood with their lumber camp. So they go off and do that. There's only 5 wood in the bank, which just sort of shows just how tight a build we're talking about. We've got 2 farms. We're going to then send some of our food villages over to gold. We want to ideally have, again, 6 or 7 on gold. So when I reach castle, I'm going to put a couple of them onto gold, and you'll see I'm already researching bloodlines. Possibly could have got bloodlines a little bit quicker, because I am in the castle age just before 13 minutes, around the 12-minute, 30-second mark. And it would be great to have gone in and started making a knight from the get-go there. Again, just slightly poor timing on my part. With a better player, I think you could make some much better efficiencies here, and it could be even more dangerous. So as I say, next couple of villages are going to go to gold. You need really solid stream of food and gold to keep your knight production pumping. But of course, you also need reasonable amount of wood coming in so that you can seed your farms, especially when your berries run out, and then ultimately get your food for your knights and your villages. So I'm sort of roughly doing a villager per night, a villager knight sort of rotation, which is reasonable. But I think maybe I'd prioritise doing this again. I might prioritise getting another couple of knights out, especially against a stronger player. I mean, red is starting to build military. I saw his score was much higher than mine. And so I assumed he was getting ready for a scout push. Mongols are so good with their scouts, or men-at-arms, because of that hunt bonus that they get in the early ages. But, he's built a couple of spears, a couple of men-at-arms, and a skirmisher or 2, and unfortunately this army is not going to enjoy fighting these bloodline Khmer knights, and that's a villager down, his army's gone down, and... I don't fancy taking too many hits under the TC without any armour. But, immediately, massive disruption to his eco. Take a look at him now. I mean, he is massively ahead in build numbers compared to me. I'm only on 25. He is like more than 10 or so ahead of me. But that's going to change. I see that he's trying to get that house wall down. He doesn't quite get it down in time. Get in, I get another couple of ill snipes. And, this is the thing. I mean, this build, it's really weak against any early feudal aggression. If Red had come at me with a few scouts, it could have been really tricky, because the timings and the efficiency has to be just completely on point. But, now I've got knights on the field, and, they're not going to worry too much about skirmishes. They pick one of them off there. I realise, if he's making food units like this, any kill I can take is a bonus to me. It just means the likelihood of him staying in feudal a little bit longer increases, and the real advantage here that I had that you want to make the most of is the fact that you're in castle and you've got castle age units compared to your opponent who's going to be in feudal and won't have the soldiers required to take you down. So I see that lonely villager on mining camp trapped in. He unfortunately is not going to be mining gold much longer, and then I decide to just pull my troops out of there, and I'm going to make a monastery. Oh, sorry, I don't know what happened with my stream there. I'm going to build a couple of monks. My plan here is to not only heal up my knights to save all that precious resource that I've sunk into them, but also I'm going to research redemption as I'm floating a fair bit of gold at this point. And I can see that he's walling off his base. And I'm going to convert a building and break in. But then I realise actually I'm doing pretty well. He's got a lot of res as well, my opponent, but he's not quite in castle age. He's not got anyone gold, and he's going to try and wall himself in completely. He's had enough of these knights, and he wants to put a stop to it. Unfortunately, he doesn't quite get the walls down in time. I'm back in his base. And once again, now I'm going to absolutely feast on these villagers, unfortunately for him. And yeah, you can see he was on 41, but now he's going down to 37 villagers, 36, 35, and I think I'm actually going to overtake him in terms of villagers now. Yeah, we're both on 36 now. So, that's what this build can do. It just dissolves those eco bonuses, those eco leads that your opponent might have built up. If executed properly. I mean, I do lose a knight there, but one knight for all those spears is kind of worth it. And he's got a choice to make whether he tries to pursue that castle or make more spears to deal with the knights. It's not a fun situation to be in. Back in my base, though, everything's going really well. It's nice and smooth. I'm going to come and drop a forward siege workshop, and I can tell I'm in a really solid position here. So monk's going to heal up my knights. More knights are going to come in. Redemption is in, so the monks can start converting stuff if I want. I get a ram on the way, still making vills. I think I've dropped a second TC as well at this point. Yeah, unfortunately for our friend with the numbers in red, things aren't looking too rosy. But, I just start converting his blacksmith here, and his villagers immediately run away. I think he might have thought I was converting them. But it's actually worse, because you can't run away with a monastery, and you've got with a building, and you've got a choice. Do you let your opponent have it, or do you delete it? Make your opponent spend his faith at least. I don't know what the best call is there, but I'm in. My knights make short work of his houses. He's on 40 vills, and he's on his way to castle at this point, which is the right move, I think, to try and, he's got 1,000 stones, so if he'd dropped a castle, maybe he'd have been able to do it, but, I dive under his TC with my knights, and it's going to be GG here shortly. I've taken out his army, and yeah, he doesn't actually give the GG, but we've all been there. And that's it, really. That's the end of the game. I wanted to show you that, guys. As I say, it's my first one, so feedback very much appreciated on both my narrative approach, my voice, my casting style, but also my gameplay. I know there's loads I can improve, especially on pushing my deer. I know I need to work on my aggression and my timings a little bit more, but the community is so awesome. The Age of Controller, the groups Not Atheist and the CCL League, Ants and Bluebird and the Rat Stack Tournament, Panda, HG, all of those guys from the PlayStation community working on, again, more tournaments, more fun friendlies with Eduardios and co. There's so many great people here I've learned so much from, and it's a thriving community, I think, and I'm keen to be a part of it and contribute in whatever small way I can. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, really appreciate it, and I will see you on the flip side. Ciao.